Okay, this is gonna be a pretty unorthodox video that from my channel. I had a burst of I had a burst of energy of thinking about my perspective on the indie comic space. For me personally, I find myself outside of it because I notice that there's like a whole community aspect, people trying to help each other, trying to show their own thing, trying to promote their own thing, and I find it bizarre, honestly. And I have a whole thread on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, that I wanted to promote on YouTube because I know Twitter, their algorithm is dumb. YouTube's algorithm is less dumb. But I'll see that if I'm going to be entertaining enough to keep your attention throughout the whole video. So let's go. Anyway, the first thing I found that was interesting was I had to ask the question: can anyone tell me why people aren't posting their comics on Pinterest? Because early this year, I forgot where I got this idea from, or what video I was watching. Because every single day when I work on the comic, well, any four of my comics, Purgatory Academy, Heaven Hell is about Heaven Hell, having four years to decide. Chimera Island's about a hidden island striving to find balance. Let's Go Metal Hero, it's about two siblings turning a robot into a superhero. And Just a Reaper is about a young Grim Reaper trying to keep hell off Earth. You can read them all in the pinned comment in the description. I usually work on four of those. The first thing of every day, and I usually listen to different ways of how I can monetize what I want to do, because I know that I'm good at making comics, and I know people can get paid for doing what they're good at, and I'm just putting two and two together. So I was on a comic binge and I was thinking, what what is the combination? What is the connection that people aren't missing? Because I see that people on their blog sites, they can get they can get like thousands of views, or they can get a certain amount of views, and they can turn that into dollar signs. They can get subscription. They can get not just subscriptions, but ads on their blog posts. They can find ways to monetize what they're making for free, and they can get paid off of that. They can make a living off of that. They can have whole businesses off of that. But at the same time, the only time you can hear a person making it in comics is an Eric July, and that's kind of weird to me. Something doesn't add up to me. So I remember I saw a thing on Pinterest, someone talking about Pinterest, and the whole idea of Pinterest is it's a search engine website where you just post images and you provide links to those images so people can go to your blog. And I was like, what? A website that encourages you to post links? That is unlike any other site that I have ever heard before. So, and I was like, why hasn't anybody talked about it? So I continue tweeting. I honestly feel like I've wasted time posting on Webtoons. I really think nobody should be posting there or hoping to get big there. If more people spent more time outside of the webcomic indie comic scene, they'd realize that webcomic hosting caps potential revenue. And that's what I was talking about. That when you go on Webtoons or Taphaz or Global Comics and Taphaz are pretty cool. They are pretty cool. Especially in terms of analytics with Global Comics. I love it about them. But the weird thing is they just don't have the algorithmic systems in place to get you where you need to go in terms of having more eyeballs on your work, and not just having eyeballs, turning that revenue, turning that traffic into money for you. So I continue saying, I doubt the indie comic space needs more collaborations because everywhere I go, I see hundreds of people making their own comics and showing them off with the hope of getting attention and money from other starving artists. It's so bizarre. So I say this because I usually, when I go on Twitter or X or whatever, I see people. If you're in the art space, you occasionally, once a month maybe, see people say, "Oh, if you're an artist, drop your art down below," or "Oh, if you make comics, post your comics down in the thread." And you just see threads upon threads of everybody just posting their comics. They're not even interacting with each other. They're just posting their comics, and it's very bizarre because if if you see that one guy, I understand from the post, I guess from the outsider's perspective. You think, oh, there might be people who wants to find more comics to look at, which is weird because the internet there is you're kind of you're kind of in competition with literally everybody on the internet who's like on the internet who's providing content. Like you're not so it's bizarre. Maybe people have some intentions of seeing of wanting to see. Hey, I want to support a certain creative of a certain creative of a certain creative color to promote and see what kind of stories that they have. You get I notice on some YouTube comments I see people say that they prefer reading webtoons over like actual big name manga, which is interesting, but different strokes for different folks. That's all right. And but as I'm saying to this, when you're posting your comic, you're posting it on a thread for people who you're not posting it to a demographic that will read the book. That's what that'll read your comic. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's interesting, very very interesting. And it's all just a I see it as a content farm, an engagement farm for the original poster, the OP as you call it, to gain attraction or um gain off of everybody's want to be seen. Just because they have a subscriber count of like 4 or 5 figures, they think that their followers, I said subscribers, that their followers will see everybody on the below post, and with that, people will want to catch them underneath the other sea of other posts of people wanting to do the exact same thing of wanting to get seen. So it's weird. I don't like it. It's bizarre. As I said, that's the word of the day. That's the word of the day. Comment put in the comment section bizarre just to know that you gotten this far in the video, I guess. But I continue saying. Wait, where was I? Where was I? Okay. Yeah, bizarre. the the past couple of months made me realize that if you need to share your comic idea through social media in hopes of getting traffic to your comic, then that website isn't where your demographic is. Or they don't have an algorithm in place to get where you need to be. And I say that because on the first couple of years of me making Purgatory Academy, my very first webcomic, like I said, it's about heaven, hell, and having 4 years to decide. I posted on Webtoons for the first 2-3 years of making my webcomic. And I've noticed that on the first year, I only got like 25. Within the second year, I got the staff. I got on the staff picks, and I saw that 25 raised to 50, 100, 500 to 150, maybe 125 subscribers of my comic, and I thought, wow, golly gee, that's great. So so I decided to make a physical copy of the book, and I thought one of the maybe one or two of the 1,500 or 2,500, I don't remember anymore. It was like, I'm gonna say 1,500 to lowball it. Maybe like 2% of the 1,500 people who subscribe to me would want to buy a book or buy a physical copy or buy any kind of merch to help support me, help support a creator that creates content that they like. Surprise, surprise, there was nothing from it, and I felt a little bit jaded. I was like, whatever, it is what it is. I even had a Patreon, but I'll get to that later. Foreshadowing. But I know with that website, there is no curation. There is no way for the cream of the crop that rises to the top that will get you where you need to be. And still, this is the most popular place that people want to be seen on. It's interesting, very interesting. So I continue saying, over the past year, I've grown to realize that there's no such thing as a comic or manga fan. At the end of the day, people like pretty pictures. I want to say that people like a good story, but let's be real. But let's be real here. There's an innate preference for there's an innate preference for talking about something that is bad over what's mediocre. I'll say this. I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is probably when people talk about The Room, or just any kind of like really so bad it's good category of any sort of media. I remember seeing a video that talks about why people talk about bad games so much, and but it's because even like the angry video game nerd, there was an example of that video of a guy that made an entire career making video blogs about it, video blogs. I say video blogs because hint hint using repetition, videos and reviews about bad video games, and his whole shtick is that he's an angry video game nerd guy, and everybody reacts to anger. They react to what is terrible, and it's let's be real here. I'm to blame for it. I'm part of the problem. I want to be the whole problem, but I'm just kidding. I'm part of the problem, and I think it's like I say, it feels like an innate human trait that we will act on stuff that we hate, that we have stronger emotions for, than talk about things that we like. Because if somebody tells you, oh man, these are the best games of X, Y, and Z year, I'm not going to watch that because I'm not going to play any of those games because I'm broke. I don't have money to play those games. But if somebody says, oh, here's the worst games of X amount of year, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm so glad I didn't spend money on these games I was never going to spend money on. But I know they're going to have some entertainment value from it. So I know I got off a tangent, but that goes to show that it's more of a universal thing. It's more it's more of a universal thing. I'll just say that. Oh, and I continue. I don't think the indie comic space needs more collaboration. I think it needs to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and figure out what's the best way to go from point A to point B. I got this idea because of the first thing that comes to my mind, or let me see what time we are at. I'm sorry. 12 minutes. Holy crap. I'm sorry. All right, guys. Buckle in. This is going to be a long one. I may or may not be I may or may not be going to 20 minutes with this one. We'll see. Also, shout out to the people on the who to know and who you may like. They haven't paid me for this, but this is gonna be a largely unedited thing. So shout out to you three people. I'm not naming names because I'm bad at naming names, but if you're just listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I digress. Back to the last tweet I was talking about. What caught my eye. Put that on the Make Sounds bingo board. But what I've noticed was, I remember I was out selling my book at my local flea market, and there was this older feller that was talking to me, and he was proposing that I should collaborate with more people because even though I recommend people to go to their flea markets and go to their farmers markets to sell their physical books, because that's a great soft skill to learn. Learn how to talk to people, sell your books, something that you're passionate about, and learn how to just talk to people in general, just communicate ideas in general. It'll go a very long way, especially when you're writing stories. Hint, 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 hint. But I digress. I remember he telling me that I should collaborate with more people. And I thought that was interesting because I don't think artists have a problem with collaborating with people. Well, I'm not going to say I don't think. I know artists do not have a problem with collaborating with people. I know artists have more of a problem figuring out how to make what they're doing worth their while. Money is what I'm trying to say. Everybody likes money, but nobody knows how to make what they're doing livable or turn those eyeballs into dollar signs. I'm not saying I'm there. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard for me to make a buck online because it's easier to sell offline talking to people, but at the end of the day, it's not ringing in what I want to ring in. So I'm gonna be honest with that front. But I still want to call out what I see That doesn't make sense, right? But I digress. I'm moving on. So I'll go back to that later because I talk about that. I'll talk about that later. Continuing saying, I just need someone to explain to me how can there be bloggers who write about anything that they want and get paid 3 to 4 figures a month on their site while artists are trying to get seen on webcomic hosting sites where the only revenue they'll get is what their audience gives them. I think I talk about that late on a later tweet, but that is a very very interesting thing because if you okay, I think I talk about that a little bit more in a later tweet. Why? And another question I asked: why don't every comic creator make a newsletter to give people updates of their comic via email? I think somebody replied to that. Got it. The shout out to Zenko, bro. Red Mongo Witch. Love this woman. God, I hate I hate newsletters in my email. I sign up, get annoyed, move to spam, and eventually unsubscribe. It's probably good if you have regular sales or coupons. Okay. Let me think. Let me go back to that a little bit. Let me think about this real quick. I hate newsletters in my email. Okay. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. I don't don't move your newsletters to spam. Just unsubscribe. For real. Just unsubscribe. Because I've heard that Google is doing a new thing where if somebody is sending out newsletters or unsolicited mail or whatever, and if you, I guess if for newsletters who are getting sent to spam more often, it's gonna be a lot harder for people who don't send it to spam. Uh, it's gonna be a lot harder for it to be sent to people who want to see that newsletter. That's what I think. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, but that's just my jargon. Moving on. It's probably good if you have your regular sales or coupons. Different strokes, I say. I disagree. Um, just flat out. But hey, the reason I say it's great to have it on the newsletter because when on when I'm selling in the market, I notice that I know the kinds of people that are usually signing up. And the kinds of people who usually find my stuff for free, they're not going to read it. They're most likely not going to binge it all in one day. So that's the people that's in my newsletter right now. However, the one thing that's actually, let me go back. Let me go back with this one real quick. Wait, where did it go? Where did it go? Okay. Then we have to think about what makes newsletters annoying. Why is it annoying? If it's the main thing that would make something annoying to me is if it's not giving me value or entertainment or something that I don't like. Just flat out, something that I just don't like or I can go my entire day without it. But if people are signing on to your newsletter and you're reminding them about that comic you're making, and if you fill that newsletter with, what was it? What did you say? Regular sales and or coupons in between your comic pages, that is marketing. That is letting people know you exist on a regular basis, and everybody wins. You wake up, you get a notification, you get an email saying, "Oh, hey, here's this update." And you're like, "Oh, snap! I can read this update right on my email." Flip through, done. That's great. Oh yeah, and I can also get a what was it? What's it called? A coupon for when this book comes physically, or I get a coupon from like the Etsy store, so I can get like a jacket for like half off or whatever. That's radical. Like the sky's the limit. I think if you don't like something, like I see that as a huge opportunity, and if you don't like it, then you have to understand like why you don't like it and change it to what will make it great. How can you make it not sucky? Because when I'm out on the street selling my book, I tell everybody I'm literally everywhere where you can post images on the internet. I don't stick to webcomic hosting sites anymore. If you can post images on the internet on any site, that site is now a webcomic hosting site. And it has an algorithm that's better than any kind of webcomic hosting site that will get you to your audience a lot faster. That's how I'm seeing it. What time are we at? I always gotta check. Okay, 20-minute mark. Oh my gosh. Actually, never mind. We're almost done here. I didn't even. We're almost done here. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Okay. Um, let's see where I left off. Oh yeah. Anyway, any. Okay. Moving up, moving up. Because there's four more tweets I can go through, and I'll go through it quickly. Anyway, this is what I'm talking about. I guess I'll go here. Bomb. Actually, yeah. This is what I'm talking about. When I started, I wanted to gain traffic for people who want to see my comic. And the very first thing that show up is webtoons, an app that everybody knows and nobody likes unless they're paying you. It's crazy that the only thing webtoons can give you is numbers that won't do anything. And I say that by looking at this. Look at that. Webtoons, webcomic. Well, wait, webtoons, TikTok, Instagram, all this stuff, all that stuff. And I'm saying dead ass. The amount of energy that is encouraged to prop up sites where views cannot equal dollar signs is insane. If you have a product to sell, 10K people on a blogging site, like if you had a product to sell to 10K people on a blogging site, you'll have around a 2% conversion rate, and that's a whole lot more than a big fat zero on webtoons. Any chance for a conversion funnel is unreasonably difficult. The only funnel that they encourage is having people support you via Patreon, which is just insane. There is like such a little you get like so little amount of people that are willing to support you on Patreon, to the point that it's very much just pocket change. The time of Patreon is probably behind the most of us. The most of us were, in order to like make a living, to make a good number of money, we have to have different streams of income. And I say that because I'm looking at other bloggers who say that they have different streams of income. And then when I look at comic creators, indie comic creators, webcomic creators, I don't see that. Maybe I'm just not in the circle enough. Maybe I'm just not looking at enough, following enough indie comic creators, because I don't follow a lot of people. I'm too busy making for a series. I don't know. But maybe people can educate me in the comment section below, so I can like reply to them, and maybe it can keep this stack rolling. Maybe. And the last thing I say is, I repeat, comic creators don't need to collaborate with other comic creators. They need to collaborate with brands just like YouTubers and bloggers. I think that's self-explanatory. And I think that this is the proper way to end the video. So, like I said, follow my newsletter so you can get updates on Purgatory Academy. It's about heaven, hell, and having 4 years to decide. Chimera Island, it's about a hidden island striving to find balance. Let's Go Metal Hero, it's about two siblings who want to turn a robot into a superhero. And also follow my friends, my co-creators, comic, Just a Reaper. It's about a young Grim Reaper trying to keep hell off Earth. It's a fun time. We're working on it. We're doing it. We're getting it done. We got other promotions where you can support me in various different ways. Let's grow a community. Let's do a thing. Let's all do it together. All right. Good night. Let's go.